Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. 'Cause we are living in Yoshi's crafted world, and Mark and Patrick are material girls. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with ya. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. Do you know what song I love? Material Girl.
Right. Okay, sure.
This is not a Madonna song. What I'm about to say.
Okay. It seems weird
What
that
song?
you would bring up a Madonna song
Well,
right
just
before
because
it.
Well, just because I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm talking trash about Material Girl as a song.
Sure.
But listening to Material Girl, a great song, made me think.
This is a does protest too much
no.
situation.
Wonderful song, but it made me think of a song that I always have stuck in my head, for no good reason. It's
okay.
Maybe I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's all around the world, statues crumble for me.
Isn't that a Sugar Ray song?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
100%. It's 100% a Sugar Ray song. I'll be just like at work. I've loved you.
Yeah.
So I'm just like walking around at work,
That's
heading
not
to the
even.
bathroom.
That's not like the chorus or even like that's like the weird bridge of that song.
Very memorable though. And just walking around, minding my business at work, living my life.
All around the world.
Exactly. Like I just want to like turn around and just start like belting it. And I would have to turn around. I'm like headed one way down the hallway.
Right. And someone is like
behind me
kind
or
of
something.
tailing you.
Exactly. Just like want to turn around and belt it.
That would be the best way to reveal to like a private investigator or like a spy that's been on your tail for a long time that you made them, right? That you spotted them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Turn around.
Oh,
and
I
start
thought you were
singing Sugar Ray to them.
That would be amazing. I thought you were going to say that'd be a great way to reveal, like in a Carmen Sandiego type way, that all around the world, you have been making statues like crumble.
Oh, okay. So
if I were to write
right.
Carmen Sandiego jukebox musical, I think I would
based on the music of Sugar Ray, naturally.
Maybe featured at least. I would definitely try to shoehorn that in there somehow.
Of course. So Carmen Sandiego is instead of stealing things now, just making them crumble.
Yeah, maybe she's more. Maybe it's the James Bond jukebox musical.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They're using like sonic rays to destroy the wonders of the world.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Statues need to be crumbled. Mark, we've got some business to get to today.
That's right.
We are going to be discussing Yoshi's Crafted World, but before we do that,
we have a edifice to knock down of our own.
That's right. And of course it is that of Sonic Forces.
And the edifice, of course, we're not actually knocking it down. We're building it up.
We do celebrate Sonic Forces way more than anyone or anything.
We talk about it a lot. I think we celebrate the Sonic Forces borrowing program.
A great borrowing program. If you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, it came back to me when? Today. It's here. It's in the building, which means it's about to go out to someone else. But if you would like to be put on a list to someday be considered for borrowing my copy of Sonic Forces on Switch, all you got to do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. And what do you need to include in that email?
Just your mailing address, a mailing address.
Yeah. It really doesn't matter. Here's the thing. I'm getting a couple requests for Canadian and English listeners who would like to borrow.
Now, we tried this once.
I did send it to Canada once, and it was gone for like 6 months.
We thought it was the end of the
the end of the program. We momentarily lost our faith in humanity, Canadian specifically.
Yeah, it was the low point, really, of the Sonic Forces borrowing program. But all good borrowing programs need to hit that low point before they can climb to the heights.
Yes, that's right.
That the program has such.
So right now, the next name on the list, I believe, is an American address. So it is going to go there. When I hit the next international address, you and I are going to have a conversation.
It's just logistics.
And figure out what we do. I mean,
it's not. We have nothing. We love all of our listeners and the countries of of their origin.
Yeah, I just don't know how to buy postage in advance for the return trip from the U.S. post office for non-U.S. postage. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you'd have to go to the bank, exchange American currency for the currency of whatever country it is,
right,
and get enough that you hope.
Gil, I assume, by the way.
You have to get enough of that and hope that that's enough to pay for the return postage.
That's right. The point is, we've got a lot of work to do. But if you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, email us Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Mark, let's get into it. Let's talk about Yoshi's Crafted World. Mark, there's no secret here. I was excited about this game to come out. I have enjoyed the other recent Yoshi games, but I liked Woolly World. And then I guess kind of prior to that, I maybe don't consider myself a big Yoshi.
But I feel like Epic
Yoshi
Yarn
fan.
is in the same vein as Woolly World and Crafted World. Am I wrong?
I mean, it is, but it is like very much a Kirby game still, you know? Well, maybe not. Maybe it's a weird little like halfway mutant. But like, yeah, the sort of idea that the game is less based on the difficulty of making it to the end of the map and more about the difficulty of finding everything in an individual playthrough.
And maybe I group the three of these games together because they're all developed by Good Feel, and I feel like their platformers have a very specific sense of pace.
Yeah, totally. And they definitely want you to sort of luxuriate in the way the game looks and just like the aesthetic of the game. And so if they're, if you're stressed out or like, jamming as fast as you can to get through the level, then you're not going to see everything that the level has to offer just visually. And I do think that Crafted World, well, all of these games are based on exploration, right? Woolly World, Epic Yarn, and Crafted World, that Woolly World does... Sorry, the names are also similar. That Crafted World does the best job of making you like scour the background, because there, we talked about this a little bit when we talked about the demo. One of the big mechanics of the game is that you can throw eggs into either the foreground or the background to sort of like collect things, be they the Poochie Pups or whatever dumb little thing the robots on the overworld want you to collect for them. So like you and I were just playing and, we got the assignment of like, okay, the robot wants 5 cows. And so the whole time we're kind of like looking through the background as we're traversing the level, trying to find these items, right? And then in doing so, you get to sort of take in all that the world has to offer.
So it sounds a little insane just being like, the robot wants us to get 5 cows.
Did we jump too far ahead?
So maybe we should talk about just a little bit about like the structure
Yeah.
of the game. And because I think you're 100% right. And full disclosure, I did not buy this game. I haven't played a lot of it. I played the demo, which we talked about, and played a little bit with you.
Yeah, I mean, I picked it up on Friday morning. My buddy Taylor was in town. We walked down to the Best Buy and got it like first thing, and then came back here and played until like dinner time. So like we put in a good like 8 hours of co-op play on that first day.
And you have since completed it.
I have since completed it, yeah. So the way the game is structured, it feels very much like a Yoshi game, right? You have all of the moves that Yoshi has, like a flutter kick. You can eat enemies with your stretchy Yoshi tongue, and you can throw eggs around. And using basically just those 3 moves, he also has like a ground pound. But using those 3 or 4 moves, you just like traverse a landscape, finding coins, red coins, little flowers, and that's it basically.
And that's kind of like your first time through the level, right? You're trying to do all those things.
Yeah. So would you like the rundown of like the story beats that set this game up?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So when we come into the game, we meet a group of Yoshis. There's like 10 of them, all different colors, and they are hanging out on their little Yoshi Island. And there is it is either called like the Dream Sunstone or the Sun Dream Stone or whatever, and it has 5 gems in it. they're not Infinity Stones, but they sure look like they are. And they're each different colors. And Baby Bowser, not to be confused with Bowser Jr., Baby Bowser. And yeah, I see you making a face.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Is Baby Bowser? Who's Baby Bowser?
Picture Bowser Jr. and get rid of that bib.
Is this?
This is Bowser as a baby.
Oh, okay. So like the equivalent of like Baby Mario.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he still has like the little like top of the head ponytail like Bowser Jr. does. So, I mean it's
we all had questionable haircuts in our youth.
I mean that is fair, and then would make sense that he would inflict the same haircut on his son. So Baby Bowser and Kamek, the Magic Koopa, appear, and they take the wish stones from this magic thing, and the whole point of the game is to retrieve these five magical stones before Baby Bowser can put them into a glove and snap his finger, and half of the Yoshis vanish. So that's it. You spend the first like chunk of the game is getting the first one of these stones, and then it splits off into like 3 separate paths, and you can kind of tackle the paths in any order you want to get the second, third, and fourth stones, and then it all kind of collapses into one more path at the end where you get the last of them. And once the thing is restored, the Yoshis make a wish. I guess spoiler for the end of the game, but this is not a the story of this game cannot be spoiled. They wish to go back home, and that's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't really have. I have nothing of substance to say about that story.
It's
like cotton candy.
Yeah.
As soon as you try to grasp it, it just like becomes
it vanishes.
sickly, sticky. The way the levels play out is you are able to go through the levels.
Yes.
And then after you do that, is it optional to collect all the Poochies? Like, could you through the entire game without doing any of like the B sides?
I think probably. So at the end of every like little world segment, there is a new robot blocking your path, who is worn out. He's tired, and he says, "If only I could get 1 flower, 5 flowers, 10 flowers, I could get out of your way and open up the level." So you have to give up the aforementioned flowers that you're collecting. Kind of act as your stars in a Mario game, where like you're accruing those to buy access to the later areas in the game. And I think that you will run up against a wall at some point if you don't start doing some of the like backtracking on these things to get the extra flowers. But like by no means is completion necessary to get to the just regular vanilla end of the game.
Gotcha. But every level has you can go through every level at least 3 times.
It's more than that. So the regular level it has like a normal forward path, and then every single level has a backwards version of it. And I had sort of expected, because I feel like this is the way the game was both demoed, like in the demo and in like early footage that we saw of it, that like you would just reach the end and then it would say like do the reverse, and then the camera would like swing around. But it's not. You have to like go back into the level and say, I want to do the flip side of this level.
Yeah, mechanically it's basically just like a second level that like takes place within the first level. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
where it's like
where just
it's
the start and end point are different.
Yeah.
But it actually does like reverse the like direction of it. You're still traversing from left to right. It's just that the left and right have switched.
Yeah. The other thing that I feel like we saw like in the early reveals was that you would much more dynamically be flipping the entire world back and forth, and like that would be a part of traversal,
right?
Like in order to get around.
That does not happen,
right?
What this game does do is it lets you like go into the like it's fine with doing multiple planes, right? Where there's like something in like the way foreground, something in sort of the middle ground and the background, and as long as there is a path that leads between those planes, that Yoshi can just sort of like travel between them. And sometimes like we played a level where there are sort of like rotating doors that will take you between planes. So there are things like that, but yeah, it is less like if you're looking for something that's going to sort of that like managing the space or like managing your perspective is like part of the puzzle solving. This isn't it. If you're looking for that, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker is still out there. You can still play that game. That's not really what this game delivers on.
So there's the A side, the main path through it.
Mhm.
There's the B side, and is every B side, every like flipped side, the first thing you do is get the Poochies? That's like the first goal.
Yeah,
The
that's
Poochie
that's
puppies.
that's like the main part of it. So the rest of the games or the rest of all the regular versions of the levels are sort of like collection things where you're going for the red coins and for the flowers. On the flip side, it is just rescuing 3 Poochie pups. And the Poochie pups can either be rescued by throwing an egg at them or by just running into them. Sometimes they're just in your path and sometimes they're in the background somewhere. And they bark. So if you're playing the game with sound on, you'll know when they're around. And none of them are like so well hidden that like, you're sitting on a screen like, oh, where's this dog? So there are 3 of them, and you get a flower for rescuing each one, and then you get another flower for rescuing all 3 and getting to the end in a certain time limit. It's expressed, specifically for each level, how long you have to do that. And it doesn't like those time limits are not super tight. Like, a lot of my first attempts on these levels, I had. It gives you 4.5 minutes, and I get it done in like 3:20 or something. So like they're not super difficult.
And then usually like the third or maybe even like fourth time you'd go back into a level, it's because in each world there's a robot that you go and talk to, and they will give you basically like a collection quest.
Yeah, so this is the aforementioned cow, right? That he says like,
we had to collect cow cups or bear cups.
We
collected
collected cups.
We
and
collected
cows.
in one level, and then bear cups in another.
Right. And sometimes those are like get me 5 of these things, and sometimes you just like I want this pirate ship, and there's just one of them, and you go through the level and you find it. And these things are sometimes hidden in ways that like you wouldn't expect. One of the bear cups was under a penguin cup, so like you had to knock down a penguin cup and then get the bear cup. It always throws me when something is in the foreground. I'm always like scouring the background, but like, sometimes things are just like in the front. And also some of the fetch quests that they send you on are in the flip sides of levels. So that's like just one more, a reason that you would have to like go back through either the forward or backwards version of any of the levels. So the game does send you back through the same worlds kind of a lot. But the sort of benefit to that is it's not common that you get everything on like the normal left to right progression of a level on your first try. You're going to miss some red coins. You're probably going to miss like a flower or 2. And then there's also a reward for beating the level with full health, right? And just having that like nudge to go back in one more time and find whatever dumb thing the robot wants you to collect for him is usually enough for you to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm in here. I'm also going to go ahead and get those coins or get that flower or whatever.
I feel like these games are kind of divisive.
Yeah.
And I feel like we kind of embody that a little bit. You really like these games.
Yeah.
I'm kind of indifferent to them. Like I said, I didn't pick this one up. And I think sometimes they have a rap for being like too easy or boring. And especially playing Crafted World, like I've kind of come around on that. I don't really think they're boring or necessarily too easy, but they are very lazy, and not lazy in the sense that like lazily developed or like thoughtlessly developed, but lazy in the sense that like the game is very deliberately paced.
Yeah.
Like everything about it, like even the music, like you get to the end of a level and the song that plays is just kind of like,
yeah, it's just that like dun,
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 na
yep.
na 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 na, like it's very like a record
it's
player
leisurely,
that's slowing down.
Yeah, it's not like the game is not intended for like high thrills or anything like that. It's very experiential, that like you are going through and just like soaking up both like the atmosphere and just sort of like the like super light puzzle solving that the levels have to offer. I mean, like we were playing part of one level where we're like trapped in a room and we needed a key to get out. And it's a pretty easy puzzle. You just have to like throw an egg at a platform to like rotate it around. Then you can drop through the floor, grab the key, and get out. And that is usually, like that's the caliber of puzzles that these levels present to you. Where there's a second where you're like, wait, how do I do this? And then you see how to do it and you do it and it's done. And then you move on to the next thing. And there's just so many things that like it becomes like a pleasant string of small, like sort of inconsequential but not unpleasant experiences.
And there are way worse video games than that.
Yeah, way worse. So I did finish this game this afternoon, which unlocks a Hidden Hills zone, which suddenly the price of entry for each of these little levels. First of all, instead of it's like a chunk of 3 levels and then you have to pay a robot. It's after every single one you have to pay the robot, and you have to pay him 30 flowers each time until you get to the very last one, in which he asks for 50. So yeah, you had to throw down 30, 30, 30, and 50. 140 flowers to get access to these like final 4 levels. And it's 3 platforming levels, which are all super difficult. There was one of them I think I got 1 flower in. And I was just relieved to make it to the end. So I was like, great, moving on to the next one. Like super, super difficult levels. And I'm really looking forward to going back in there with a second player to like help me on them. And we'll talk more, I guess, in a sec about what the like co-op experience is. But then the very final thing in this Hidden Hills area is a sort of boss rush mode where it's you have to fight all of the bosses and like do I think all of the special levels. I still haven't like beaten it. Where like Kamek, the Magic Koopa, takes the form of the boss, and it presents you with a really hard like one-hit kill version of that boss. So you saw me take a stab at it. And not succeed.
It's very challenging.
Yeah, it's super, super challenging. I was probably doing it like just on a loop for like an hour this afternoon. And I got through its like 4th form, and that's it. I don't know if there are more.
I feel like that's become kind of like a Nintendo platformer formula, especially the 2D platformers. And I haven't gotten there yet, but I understand that 3D World is a little bit the same way, where the core game, if you want to call that, from like the beginning to the end boss of the story, is there will be maybe challenging levels, but for the most part is
it's manageable.
And then the bonus levels afterward are where they like let players feel the pain.
Yeah, like and they're just like totally punishing. Yeah, the very last level in Super Mario 3D Land is so hard. But I mean, you're right. Like we also saw this in like Odyssey. The Darker Side of the Moon is a super tricky platforming section. I guess spoilers for Odyssey.
New Super Mario Brothers U is the same sort of way. Like those star levels afterwards.
Yeah, well, and I guess you can really even trace that back to Super Mario World, right? That once you get to, what are those bonus areas called? The ones that are like tubular.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, I mean, all of that, those 8 levels are like impossible. They're so hard. And that is how I'm feeling about these levels at the end of Crafted World. So should we talk a little bit about what makes the co-op experience different?
Yeah, because you can play the whole game with 2 players, right? It maxes out at 2.
Yeah, it's just 2 players simultaneous, and it allows for drop in, drop out. So if we were playing together and you had to bounce, there's no problem there. Also, if you show up and I'm 3 levels in, you can just pop it. It's super easy. But so one of the, I guess like the big thing that co-op does is that it allows one player to ride the other, one Yoshi to hop on the other Yoshi's back. Which is that weird? I don't know. Yoshis can ride Yoshis. Why not? And while one player rides the other, the player being ridden has just like control of them, right? Is basically driving the Yoshi, while the other one throws eggs. And if you're on the back, if you're riding, you can't really control where you're going, but you can throw as many eggs as you want. And so that is a like good way to really like knock out the exploration, because a lot of like things that you need to find in a Yoshi game are based on throwing an egg at like a little question block cloud thing. And you can run out of them pretty quick, but not if you have an infinite amount of them because you're riding on another Yoshi's back. So I don't know, it was very cool when Taylor and I were playing, and like we both just like very very quickly like fell into a rhythm of like, okay, I'll hop on your back and start throwing eggs around for a while, and you drive, or the other way around. And just like, the person throwing eggs is like knocking out any enemies that might be in the way and like unlocking all the secrets, and the other person is just like doing all the platforming, and makes for kind of a like quick, fun way to kind of tackle the levels in a like in an efficient way.
The other part of this is costumes.
Yes, there are costumes in this game. You win the costumes in these like gumball slot machine things. And it all just costs in-game coins to do them, and each gumball machine has 10 costumes in it, and all the costumes are different, but they're also all assigned rarity levels. So like there'll be like seven common costumes, even though all 7 are different, 2 rare costumes, and one super or very rare, I forget what they call it, but they're all like, yeah, there's only one of like the UFO, but there's also only one of the like, I don't, like little garbage ball or whatever. It's all the same.
But there's only 10 in each gumball.
Yes.
And so
you buy them out.
Yeah, you will get the extra rare ones or whatever they're called.
Yeah. And there's no more likelihood that you'll get this extra rare one than this common one, right? Like there's no
There's a 1 in 10 shot.
Yeah, it's
all
a 1 in 10 shot for all of them. And it's funny when you do purchase all of the costumes from one of these things, like a little ribbon goes on it to be like, you did it, you accomplished it, you bought your way out of this one. But the costumes calling them costumes is a little misleading, right?
I feel like, yes, because they're more like, well, I mean, were you ever, when you were a kid, did you ever like make a car out of a cardboard box?
Yes.
That is almost literally 100%. Exactly what these are.
And Yoshi's like holding it up around him. I almost, for some reason, it reminds me of like a bathtub. Like Yoshi took like a clawfoot bathtub and like kicked the bottom out of it and just like stood in the middle and lifted the tub up on either side.
Yes. Is that like in old timey cartoons, or am I thinking of a barrel?
Yes.
I mean, I know I'm thinking of a barrel, but have we seen this with claw bathtub?
I don't know. Maybe I was also imagining a barrel, and like suspenders.
Yeah. Yes.
You know why you need the suspenders with the barrel?
Because you're wearing it as clothes and you're going to the White House?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. The White House?
Or where else would you need suspenders? You just buy a belt.
No, but you can't wear a belt. That was going to be my the punchline, is that you can't wear a belt with
a barrel.
With a barrel.
Yeah, it wouldn't do any good.
No, because it's not. You can't squeeze it to your chest.
Do you think that's why suspenders were invented?
So people could hold up their barrels?
Yeah,
I do. So these costumes have a function in the game, which is you get an extra like number of hits that you can take.
Their armor, basically.
Yeah. Some of them are good for 3 hits, some are good for 4, and some are good for 5. And that does directly correspond to their rarity level. The more rare it is, the better armor it is.
So I was using armor in one of the levels, and the levels had a kind of tricky / scary mechanic, which I guess we won't spoil necessarily. But I lost the health of the armor, because like with every hit or whatever, it goes down. Does the armor go away?
Yes.
Like forever?
Well, no, not forever.
Okay, so it's not like you like lose the armor.
You just
in your inventory.
Lose it for that.
Okay.
For the rest of that level. Yeah, it will go away. If you get hit the 3, 4, or 5 times, then you're just running around as a naked Yoshi after that. Actually, this you saying does the armor go away forever, or the costume go away forever? If you are so at the beginning of the game, you pick which color Yoshi you are, and at any point in the game, you can switch to like be a different color Yoshi. But you're not just like changing your color; you're like taking the Yoshi that was back at the beginning of the game and like taking him and like putting the one you were using back. Um, and if you're wearing a costume when you put a Yoshi away, he wears that costume like in on the Yoshi's Island, just kind of like walking around.
And is it out of your inventory?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So like then if you want that costume back, you got to go get that Yoshi back, unequip the costume, which is just it's also maybe a little bit inconvenient if for whatever reason you want to switch from a yellow Yoshi to a green Yoshi and you like the costume you have. That you have to like unequip it and go back. But there's something so like funny and pure about like, no, you put that Yoshi away, so he was wearing a costume and the costume is now put away. Would I don't know. It's just it's a tiny little thing that really makes me. I don't know. It makes everything feel real, which I think this game does a good job of doing, convincing you that everything is sort of constructed with real material. There's a part of this game where you're like sort of driving a Yoshi shaped tank, or it's like a mech, and it's got these like arms that like it looks like a Labo, right? Because like you can see like the little mechanic where like it's winding up its arms to punch, and you can see the rubber band like tightening as like it winds up, and then like the kind of snap of the rubber band as it lets go. I don't know. It all just feels and looks very like physical and satisfying.
Yeah, it really does. How do you think it compares to Woolly World?
So it's shorter than Woolly World, I think. And Woolly World's challenge is a little bit more spread out. Each world in Woolly World had a secret level that once you got all of the I believe there are also flowers in that too. And once you got all the regular flowers in those levels, that it would like pop, and those are like super difficult levels. I was playing Woolly World just a couple weeks ago, and the secret level in World 3 of like 7, right? It was so hard, and so I that must mean that there's like 7 super difficult levels in that game. Whereas it seems like there are 3 super difficult levels in Crafted World. So I mean I think probably as like a game and with just like a variety of like what you're experiencing, maybe Woolly World is a less like realized version of like the good feel kind of game, but is maybe closer to like a traditional Yoshi game. Whereas I feel like Crafted World is like leaning into the good feel aesthetic, because like most of the levels have a unique mechanic or like visual tick or something that makes it feel like a unique slice of the game every time you go into it. And I feel like there's just more kind of repetition in Woolly World. One thing I will say that I don't love about this game is the music is cute but frequently kind of annoying.
Cute, yeah. And I wouldn't even say that it's. I think it airs too far from cute into cutesy.
Totally.
Where it's very like and I feel like a lot of the Yoshi games have had this problem where it becomes like childish instead of like capturing the spirit of childhood.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, there's going to be kazoos and it's going to be kind of like farty a little bit.
It's going to be a little bit farty. Not everything's going to be in tune or in time. And like that's one of the things I really think is adorable about like the original Yoshi's Island or Yoshi's Story is when the Yoshis sing. They're not good at singing. They sing out of tune and they sing out of time. But that is like it's an animal that's doing that, and for whatever reason my brain is like, that's okay, that's cute, I like it. But as soon as it's a musical instrument, I'm like, no, the musical instrument should be right. And there's a lot of that and a lot of the kind of like toy piano texture that if you and I ever get around to doing another music episode, I'm not going to pull any tracks from this game.
Yeah, a little goes a long way of that aesthetic.
Yeah.
But the entire game just seems to be kind of like stuck in that one note.
Yeah. And then I guess like on a similar note is anytime you bring up the reticle to throw an egg, Yoshi goes like, and it's the exact same audio cue every single time. And ditto every time he does like the flutter kick. It's a different little grunt, but it's the same one every time. There's no variation on it. So especially when there's two of you flutter kicking around a level, it can get old kind of fast. So when Taylor and I were putting a lot of time into it, and one day we were like, hey, do you want to put on some music? We don't need to keep listening to the Yoshis, right? So yeah, I would say audio is where this game kind of takes the biggest hit for me.
But overall, as like a fan of these games, of this type of game,
yeah,
you enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not gonna like really surprise people who are fans of Yoshi games. You will recognize every mechanic that's in here. And there are a lot of fun like twists on it, but nothing that's gonna make you go like whoa. But it's got enough like kind of mildly surprising things or very rarely like scary things to make it like worth it and feel novel throughout.
Yeah, I feel like it really fits perfectly into this like early part of the year that Nintendo likes to put these kind of like Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah,
it's another game that I feel is I think we felt the same way about that as it sounds like you feel about Crafted World.
I mean, I feel way better about Crafted World than I do about Star Allies, which I know I liked a lot at the time. I think Star Allies has less. There's a lot of Star Allies that you can just sit there for and let your 3 computer players play for you, and sort of you have to because they're just like there and you can't stop them. Like Yoshi, for as easy as it is, never plays itself. And I think it is just a more interesting world and environment, and it's just a longer game. I think there's just more of it. Like I think I got through Star Allies in like 6 or 7 hours. I probably played Yoshi for like 10, all things told. All right, so that's what we thought of Yoshi's Crafted World. What did you think? Huh? We'd love to know if you played this game. You can write to us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I want to hear what your favorite levels are. I want to hear what your favorite, what kinds of mechanics or little like twists on things that you liked. And if you want to tell us that we're wrong about the music, don't.
Yeah, right. Don't bother.
Don't bother, because we're right on this one. All right, let's close out this section. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you, what am I saying? Please rate, review, subscribe. Any of the things that you can do on Apple Podcasts that relate to this show, you should do it.
Or wherever you get this show.
Wherever
We're all over the place.
Right. If you get it at like the bottom of a well, go to that well and like throw a coin down there. Make a wish.
That's the equivalent of a 5-star review.
Yeah, I think so.
If you get this podcast from a well.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're getting a podcast from a well, maybe you need to like see if there's someone trapped down there.
Maybe instead of just checking every week, see if they got the latest episode. Twice a week, really.
That's true. And also, please share the episode, wherever you can. It helps us out tremendously. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We're also on Facebook, and the page there is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. If you like his music and you want more of it, you can go to 8bitbetty.com, or you can listen right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying that we are, in fact, Material Girls. Thanks for listening.
Campfire.